Today the lecture will be on context-free languages. In our previous lecture we have learned what context-free grammar is. Now we will just learn what the language in which the context-free grammar represents itself. It is the context-free language. We all know that how to represent a context-free grammar. It consists of four set of symbols, namely V, T, P and S. It has already been discussed in our previous lecture that what V is, what T is and what P and S are. Okay. V are the set of non-terminal symbols or variables that can derive some terminal symbols or the variable itself. T are the set of terminal symbols. What the main aim is means from using the set of production rules P, using V we can ultimately reach to T, and set is S is a start symbol from where we can start. Here, so the grammar is G and the language that represents G is L of G, and in generalized form we can write in this fashion that LG can derive W, that is a string W, which consists of any number of terminals. It can have empty means zero number terminal, that is the string can be empty. It can be of length 1, it can be of length 2, 3 and anything. So applying the grammar number of times starting from the start symbol S, we can ultimately generate W. That is the main basis of the context-free language. Fine. And for an example we can consider the set of palindromes in the context-free language. Now here we will learn or we will see how to prove that set of the set of palindrome is a context-free language in respect of the production rules and in respect of the length of string. We will see. First we will prove that a set of palindrome is a context-free language with respect to the length of the strings. Okay. Here we are considering the set of palindromes, so what the alphabet 0 and 1. So the grammar is being described with GPAL in our previous lecture we have seen, and the language it is generating is denoted with L of GPAL. Now what can be the least length string over 0 and 1 that are accepted as palindrome? It can be of 0 length, that is it can be an empty string. It can be of 1 length, it can be 0, that is it can be 0 or it can be 1. So the length is 1 only. Okay. So these three are the basis, that is length 0 and 1. What are the basis? Epsilon, 0 and 1. So these are the basis strings that are possible to be palindrome, and these are possible using the production rules. P can derive epsilon, P can derive 0 or P can derive 1. So we can conclude that whatever the strings it has been generated, that is P can derive W, it is the palindrome only for these basis cases. Now if the situation is like this, that the length of W exceeds 1, it can be 2, it can be more than 2, it can be anything. So in that case we have to follow the method of induction. Now we are assuming the length of W to be equals to or greater than 2. It to be a palindrome, it should be equivalent to W of R. Now over the set of strings, that is 0 and 1, or over the set of alphabets 0 and 1, what are the possible choices? It can either start with 0, end with 0, or it can start with 1, end with 1. And there can be any number of zeros and ones in between, provided that set of zeros and ones are palindrome itself. So if we assume that middle string to be X, X should be equivalent to its reverse. Okay. Now firstly we are assuming the case as it is starting with 0, ending with 0. So here X should be a palindrome only. So P can ultimately derive X. That is our assumption, or that is the way in which we can prove the set is palindrome or the string is palindrome. Similarly, if the choice is the other one, that is it starting with 1 and ending with 1 and X in between, X again has to be the reverse of itself to be a palindrome, and hence we can prove that it is a context-free language. fine, because we can derive the grammar of those strings that are palindrome. We can derive the grammar, so it is a context free language. Now if we see the same case with respect to the production rules, how to do that? So basis production rules will be what? Instead of assuming the length of the string, we are assuming the basis production rules. It can have three production rules, basis production rules. One, p can derive epsilon, p can derive 0, or p can derive 1. Now if we have to move to the production rules where single production rule is not enough to describe the grammar, then we have to follow the method of induction. In our basis case, only one production rule out of p derive epsilon, p derive 0, or p derive 1, our job is done. But if the length of string exceeds 2 or equals to 2, then one production rule is not enough. So in the same fashion, what we will do, we will assume two different choices. One is starting with 0, ending with 0, other is starting with 1, ending with 1. So it can follow n plus 1 step, means whenever the length is 2, it should have this number of production rules. When the length is 3, it can have this number of production rules. So the generalized production rule will be p can start with 0, end with 0, string can start with 0, end with 0, or it can start with 1, end with 1, and p in between. So we will repeatedly replace p, and ultimately we will generate a string that is the palindrome. In this case also, whatever the middle string is, if we denote it with x, it should be reverse of itself. Again, if we follow this fashion, we can come to the conclusion that it is a palindrome, hence it is a context free language, because we can derive the context free grammar of it. Now we will see the important topic, that is how to derive a grammar from a given language, that is how to derive a context free grammar from a context free language. We will see three different ways to derive it. Firstly, what we will do, if you are given with a set of languages, we will try to just divide the total language into smaller parts. That is, if we are given, say, a to the power 2n, b to the power n, then b to the power 2n, a to the power n. We will separate the grammar into two parts, first with a to the power 2n, b to the power n, and the other with b to the power 2n, a to the power n. And we will construct the grammar of individual part, and we will just make the union of all. The concept will be clear if we see the example. Just look at the example now. Here, one language is being described, that is 0 to the power n, 1 to the power n, where n is greater than equals to 0, and 1 to the power n, 0 to the power n, where n is greater than equals to 0. So our job is to first construct the grammar for the first half, then the second half, and then combine the two. We are denoting the first half with the start symbol s1. It can derive a string with it's starting with 0, ending with 1, and repeating the s1 in between. Again, it can directly generate a empty string, because here n can also be equals to 0. So in that case, there nothing remains with the number of zeros and nothing remains with number of ones, because the value of n is 0. So in this case, start symbol can directly move to empty string as well. And for the second case, that is 1 to the power n, 0 to the power n, similarly we have assumed another start symbol, namely s2, and have done the same job. Now our last job is to just combine these two. So how we can combine it? We will just incorporate one more start symbol, and we will just concatenate s1 and s2, and we are having the production rules for s1 and s2 already. So ultimate grammar will look like this. Now the second way is a more generalized way. What we can do, if we are given with a context free language, we will first develop the DFA of it. Now, as you all know, what DFA does, it can transit from one state to another state, or it can have one transition for a particular input. Just we will do what? We will convert the number of steps, or each step with a variable, and each input symbol with a terminal symbol. What, say if the transition is Q1 or Qi is transiting to Qj for input A, we will replace Qi with Ri, that is Ri is one variable, and Qj with Rj. Rj is another variable or non-terminal, whatever you say, and it is transiting to Rj for input A. So the grammar will be like this: Ri can derive A Rj. Again we have to see what the transition of Rj is. So say if Qj is the ultimate state or the final state, we will do what the grammar will be: Ri can derive A Rj, and since Qj is the final state, so our from Rj we cannot move to anything else because we have to make the string accepted here. So we will just write Rj can derive phi, or Rj can derive epsilon, right? Then our job will be done. So what we are doing, we are just representing the steps or stages or states present in DFA with some variables and each input symbols with terminals, and if any state is a final state, that corresponding variable of that state will generate one empty string. So our job will be done. This is another way in which you can derive the grammar of a particular context-free language. Now the third way is, if the language is like this, which a finite automata or DFA cannot accept, means there is something which a machine needs to remember, as for example 0 to the power n, 1 to the power n. What the machine is actually doing, it is comparing if the number of zeros and number of ones are equal. So what it has to do, it has to store 0, otherwise it cannot compare it with the number of ones. So in case of context free grammar, we are having we will learn in our next to next lecture that what a PDA is. It is having one memory with it. It can keep something in its memory and can just compare with the newly encountered strings, right? If both of them are equal in size, then it will be accepted. We will see in our next lectures. So here finite automata has to remember the number of zeros to compare it with number of ones, so it cannot do. So the choice of constructing DFA and converting it to context free grammar cannot be done in such cases. So what we will do here, you just see what the language is doing. Here the number of 0 and number of ones are equal, so obviously our string will start with 0 and end with 1, and same thing will repeat in between. So if we consider 0 as u and 1 as v, and the same thing gets repeated in between, so our grammar will be like r. If we consider r as a variable, r derives u r v, and we have to add another production: r can derive directly epsilon, because n can again be equals to 0. So in this fashion you can also convert a particular language to context-free grammar, or a context-free language to context-free grammar. Fine. This is the end of today's lecture. In our next class we will learn what are parse tree, what are the uses of parse tree, and how helpful a parse tree is. Okay, thank you.